Wayward Magic, Chapter 2, Conversations on the Road. You are not from here. I do my best to hide a smile. We've been riding side by side for roughly 30 minutes now, according to the position of the sun, and this is the first thing the girl has said to me since we started traveling. No, I say in response to a very obvious question, I am not. The horses that Lyra found for us are healthy and docile as much as I can tell. It's not like I'm a great judge of horse flesh or anything. I'd never even ridden a horse until a few years ago. The one that I'm riding, I named her Mitzi because why not, is slightly larger than the one Tamara is riding, even though the girl and I are basically the same size. So where are you from? Tamara finally asks. I chuckle. Very far from here. Somewhere far, far away. That's all I can tell you for now. She raises an eyebrow in surprise. Beyond the borders? I wrinkle my brow. Which borders? Then I shake my head. No, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm from beyond them. So then where are we going? I have a feeling that now that the questions have started, they're going to come in droves. So much for peace and quiet. Have you heard of a place called Grail? I ask. She barks a laugh and shakes her head. Never in life. All I know is the farm. That and the few villages nearby. Two Forks, Haymantown, Riverbend. Haymantown is where Mother bought the horses. You really did overpay for them by quite a bit, by the way. 3 sentences in a row. That's the most the girl's said to me so far. So this Grohl, she pronounces it like Grohl instead of Grail, like a word unfamiliar on her tongue. Is this where we're headed? Eventually, I think, I reply with a nod, with 1 or 2 stops along the way. My turn for questions. Do you know any other women, any girls who, are touched by magic? Tamara asks. Is that what you call it? She nods. In my village, yes. Magic cursed, some say. Or demon turned, I have also heard it said. She takes a breath before saying, I have known 2 others, 2 girls from nearby villages. One was my friend. Was your friend? What happened to her? Well, I suppose. Kari is her name. She still lives in Riverbend, but... Her eyes wander off toward the faraway hills. She was accused of being touched by magic after her house burned. She swore to me of her innocence, of the fire anyway. One quiet night, months before they took her, she admitted to me that she was magic touched. I saw her make a tiny ball of light appear in her hand with just a thought. Did you tell her about your own abilities? I'm still not even sure what the kid can do, but I figure that conversation can wait. Tamara shoots me a look of outrage. Did I tell her? Are you insane? Of course not. I slapped her hard across the face and told her she should never reveal her curse to anyone, ever. Not even to me. I told her to hide it from the world. But it did not matter because they came for her anyway. The Emperor's Guard. They arrested her, promised to cure her, but when she was returned to the village weeks later, she was alive, but she would not look at me or talk to me, not to anyone. And when I looked at her, there was nothing there. No expression, no emotion. I do not know how to explain it. It was like she was not there. The words of the guard with the one ear come back to me. She was empty, I say softly. Tamara nods. Empty. That is as good a word for it as any. I have no idea how to respond to that, so instead I say, You said you knew another girl. What happened to her? Tamara sighs. Preta Bronwyn. She ran away the night she accidentally killed her brother. Apparently the 2 were arguing, and she somehow caused a kitchen blade to fly across the room and embed itself in her brother's throat. Tamara turns toward me with a hard look in her eyes. My mother was there, in the house, with Preta's mother. She saw it happen with her own eyes. Preta screamed in anger, looked at the knife, and then the knife hurled itself untouched as if it had been thrown. Preta watched in horror as her brother bled to death in her arms. And then she took one sorrowful, horrified look at her mother and fled, never to be seen again. Rumor was that she was so distraught with grief and guilt that she threw herself into the river and drowned. She turns away, facing forward, her voice thick with emotion. That is why magic is forbidden. It can kill, and it cannot be controlled. It is far too dangerous to allow. You controlled it, I reply. For what, a year? So it can be controlled. She spins her head back toward me and halts her steed with an easy pull. I stop next to her, a little less coordinated on my part, and she holds my stare. Finally, she says, yes, a year of agony, of fear, of dread, a year of wondering and what if and worry, not just for myself, but for every single person around me. Without meaning to, I had hurled a 200-pound boy off of me with a mere thought, and he ended up tumbling from the hayloft. Only by luck did I end up injuring him instead of killing him. What would happen the next time a stranger upset me? Or if my father became even more controlling? What if I lost my temper and thus my control? Perhaps Kari really did burn down her own house without realizing, without even trying to. You speak of magic as if it is a tool or a weapon. It is not. It turns you into someone whose own body and mind you cannot trust. You try living like that for a year's time. It is for this very reason that my mother sent me away at the first opportunity, entrusting me to a strange, short woman in a cape. She did it for everyone's safety, not just my own. With that, she gives her reins a gentle swish, and her horse begins a slow trot down the road. I exhale and give my own horse a little hup and catch up to Tamara. Okay, first off, kid, it's a cloak, not a cape. And I am not that short or strange. Well, I'm a little strange. But you are short, Tamara insists without looking my way, and strange. I frown. We're the same height. True, Tamara says. Then, for the first time, she gives me just a hint of a smile. But you are not a 14-year-old girl. I chuckle. No, I most certainly am not. With a smile, I add, I'm twice your age. Does that mean I should be twice your height? Tamara shrugs. At least that. Then she gives me a genuine smile, the first I've seen from her, with real warmth behind it. That would be a sight. A 10-foot-tall woman. Listen, Tamara, I begin. Tam, please, she says. Tam. She nods. I prefer to be called Tam. My parents, of course, think it is ridiculous. My father forbids me to go by it, as he forbids most things. But my friends, when my parents cannot hear us. She quickly adds, not that I'm considering you a friend, mind you. I hardly know you. Okay, Tam then, I say. Listen, I can't claim to know or understand everything about what you're going through. I can't use magic, and I don't have any parents of my own to worry about. But I do understand what it's like to be misunderstood, to not even be sure about who you are. And I can tell you this as well, and this is the truth. I have seen women using magic, controlling their magic. Some wield it, like you said, as a weapon or a tool, but some also use it to help those around them. They use it to heal. These women were controlling their magic instead of magic controlling them. Tam stares at me again, eyes wide. She slows her horses, but doesn't stop this time. Her voice is a soft whisper. Lies. I slow my horse, matching her speed. Tam, I give you my word on this. I might not be able to answer all your questions. There are some things I can't tell you yet because you wouldn't understand. But I promise you this. I will never, ever lie to you. Ever. Tam sits looking at me, considering this. Then she shrugs. Unless you're lying to me right now. I let out a little involuntary groan. Jesus, kid, you're killing me. Very well, Tam challenges. Tell me more about these women who control their magic. You did say women. Are all of them women? Most, I say, nearly all. But it turns out magic, like most things in life, is not binary. Tam frowns. What does that word mean, binary? I exhale. It means, well, it means either or. It means one way or the other, but never both. And some things in life are binary, like life and death. You are either alive or dead. As long as you're not dead, then you're technically still alive, no matter how close to death you may be. I tap my chin, thinking for a second. I suppose being pregnant is like that too. But there's a lot of things in this life that are not binary, even though we may think they are. I reach inside my cloak and pull out a coin. Take this coin, for instance. Is it binary? Tam blinks. Well, certainly. It is, as you say, either or. One side is the face, and one is the flock. It either lands on the face of the gods or the sheep. It must be one or the other. It cannot be both. I give a little, Then I proceed to flick the coin and spin it on its edge on the tip of my finger. So as it spins here, balanced on my finger, is it heads or tails? Or, I guess, face or flock? Or is it both at once? Or neither? She's staring at my little party trick in astonishment. How are you doing that? I have never. Are you sure this is not magic? I chuckle. Nope, not magic. This is just skill. With a flick, I snatch the spinning coin into my palm. I learned how to do that when I was about your age. Anyway, my point is that there will always be people who will try to tell you that everything in the world is binary, that everything is either light or dark, black or white, right or wrong. A moment, please, Tam interrupts. I understand what you mean about light and dark. I have seen dusk and dawn, and I see how those can be considered both light and dark at the same time, and all things in between. But how can something be both right and wrong? That is foolishness. There are laws of gods and men, and you either obey the law or you do not. As a retort, I simply nod and give a little, I let the silence sit between us for a few seconds before I ask, and what if there's an unjust law? Would you consider following an unjust law to be right or wrong? She's staring at me again. An unjust law? I can tell from her expression that this is something that's never occurred to her. If a thing was unjust, then why would it be a law? And if it were, then the people under the law would revolt and the law would be changed. Then it's no longer a law. I give Tam a look. You mean like a law that says if your teenage daughter exhibits some strange behavior, you should call her a witch and turn her over to authorities? Her eyes drop, but only for a second. Then they harden. That is a just law. I have explained why. It is simply too dangerous for there to be uncontrolled magic. You mean uncontrolled teenage girls, I reply. When she remains silent, I say, your mother knew about you, and she didn't turn you in. And you didn't tell anyone about your friend Kari, right? And we were both wrong for it, my mother and I both. By law, we should have. We simply chose to do what we knew was wrong. I give a little shrug. I think you did what you thought to be right. Tam frowns, confused. That makes no sense. If we had done what was right, we would have gone to the authorities. Instead of continuing that train of thought, she said, tell me what else you know about these magic users you claim to have seen. Well, I say, most are female, as I said, but not all, and most begin to exhibit an ability to channel magic between the ages of 12 and 20. But again, not all. Tam frowns again. What does that word mean, exhibit? To show, demonstrate. It means the people around them notice it, or sometimes they notice it in themselves. Ah, Tam nods. She continues to ride in silence for a moment before asking, are there many girls like me? More than you think, I reply, but it is rare, even for... I pause and reset. For a place like this. Tam gives me a confused look. Location matters. Where you're born matters, I clarify. At least that's the theory. What does theory... A theory is an idea, something people believe but haven't proven yet. We believe that where you're born, where you're from, is part of what determines whether or not you have the ability to control magic. And where I was born, that is the reason why? This place creates girls who can touch magic? I give a little shrug. Well, you tell me. 3 that you know of in a 3-mile radius? I wave her off before she can ask me what a 3-mile radius is. My point is, you already knew other girls who could, touch magic. And there's probably even more that managed to stay hidden. Or maybe they never even realized it about themselves. Back where you are from, how many girls did you know that could touch magic? None, I laugh, and that's my point. Growing up, I didn't even realize there was such a thing. Well, then how did you end up here? Tam asks. How did you even find me? And how did you somehow find a list of magic-cursed girls if you didn't even know magic existed? I chuckle. So many questions. Okay. Well, I told you I would never lie to you, right? But I did tell you that there were some things I can't tell you right now. Yes, about that, Tam says. Why exactly can you not tell me these things? She looks at me, reading my expression, and then sighs. You are going to say that you cannot tell me why you cannot tell me, correct? I smile. Smart kid, but here's what I can tell you. Remember what I told your mom about who I was, why I came here for you? You said you were a knight. She pauses, looking at me. Of the Krell? Good memory. We're called the Knights of Krell. Not that I understand what that means exactly, Tam adds. I have never heard of your group. We're a group that protects people who can't protect themselves. It means we look after things and try to keep things in balance. And in this case, it meant coming here and looking for girls like you. Tam gives me a skeptical smirk. And so, do you think of me as one of those people who cannot protect themselves? A delicate flower who needs looking after? I shake my head. No, kid, you got it backwards. You're going to help me protect other people. I point to a spot ahead. We should move off over there. There's a clearing a short distance off that way. We can camp there for the night. Tam looks at me, then nods over to where the sun is just hitting the top of the trees. But we have hours yet. We can reach Two Forks by nightfall. They have an inn there. Small, I grant you, but if you can afford to give my mother 20 gold sovereign. I put up a hand to stop her. Hang on there, smart girl. This Two Forks place, do you know people there? Of course, Tam nods. I have many friends there. Right, I say. So what happens when you ride into town with 2 new horses riding alongside a strange, small woman dressed in black? What do you plan to tell your friends, that we're just out taking a jog? Ah, Tam realizes. Her eyes drop momentarily as she realizes she's leaving more than just her mother and farm behind. Then her eyes narrow. You continue to use words I have never heard before. What in the hells is a jog, and why would we take one?